My girlfriend said her online game was just harmless fun until I logged in as a fake player and caught her planning a real-life date with her in-game husband. When I first met Alice, she was one of those people who filled a room without trying. Bright, quick-witted, a little chaotic in ways that felt charming back then. We had been dating for almost a year when the late-night gaming started. At first, it was harmless. She'd hop on her laptop after work, headset on, laughing with strangers in that breathless, unguarded way she never laughed with me anymore. I'd come into the living room and she'd lower her voice, angle the screen slightly away, and say, "It's just a game. Babe, don't be weird." That was the first red flag I didn't acknowledge. The second was how often she said, "Just 5 more minutes," and then stayed on until 3 a.m. By month 2, she was effectively living in that game more than with me. I'd wake up and the space next to me would be empty, the glow of her monitor leaking under the door. Sometimes I'd hear her giggle. Not the polite giggle she used with me around friends. No, the soft kind, the "I feel special" kind. I remember lying there in the dark thinking, if this is innocent, why does it sound like intimacy? When I asked, she brushed it off with a laugh. "Don't tell me you're jealous of pixels. Grow up." She said it the same way someone flicks lint off their shirt. But she started hiding her screen more deliberately, muting herself when I walked by, typing instead of speaking. She'd get dressed nicer before gaming. Mascara, lip gloss, the natural but not really look she used on first dates. And sometimes she'd smell like perfume even though she hadn't left the apartment. I started wondering if I was losing my mind. One night, while she showered, I glanced at her open laptop. I didn't dig, I didn't have to. A chat window was right there. "Can't believe our wedding is tomorrow. You better show up," winky face. The winky face burned itself into my brain. Not the emoji, what it meant. I asked her about it later, quietly, not accusingly. She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, it's part of the game story. It's roleplay. Everyone does it. Stop acting insecure." I apologized. I genuinely did. I felt stupid. But something in her tone, sharp, dismissive, almost annoyed that I cared, made me feel the ground shift under my feet. That night, lying awake again while she whispered to someone in her headset, something in me snapped. Not angrily, just quietly. If she was telling the truth, then I'd feel relieved. If she wasn't, then I needed to know who I was actually dating. So I made a fake account, a new email, a new username, a new character. I spent nights learning the mechanics, the world, the slang. I stayed up late leveling like a teenager, eating cereal at 1 a.m. just to keep up with her schedule. There was something pathetic and humiliating about it, and something clarifying, too. I joined her guild after 2 weeks. She accepted me without knowing it was me, complimented my build, even joked with me the way she used to joke with herself about me. And then I saw it. Their wedding wasn't a one-time event. Their chats were constant, intimate, filled with private jokes and too many emojis to pretend it was just for the game. They spent hours questing together, exploring, building virtual houses. She called him my king. He called her my girl. She told him she wished her boyfriend played, but he didn't have the imagination for it. They planned a meetup. It wasn't coy. It wasn't vague. There was a time, a coffee shop, a whole itinerary. She even sent him a picture. Recent, nice outfit, the perfume I kept smelling. I stared at my screen for a long time that night. I wasn't angry. I wasn't jealous. I was just tired. Tired of feeling like a placeholder in my own relationship. Tired of excuses. Tired of trying to believe someone who clearly didn't believe in me. The morning she left for her errands, I watched from the window as she got into an Uber wearing that same outfit from the photo. My hands didn't shake. My breath didn't speed up. I simply grabbed my keys, got in my car, and drove to the cafe. I arrived 10 minutes before she did. I chose a table facing the door. I sat down, folded my hands, and waited. When she walked in, looking around with that nervous, excited smile, the smile she used to save for me, I felt something inside me finally go quiet. She didn't see me at first. She saw the guy who wasn't there. She pulled out her phone, texting him, confused. That's when I stood up. She recognized me instantly. Her face drained of color. The expression wasn't guilt. It was terror. "Why are you here?" I pulled out my phone, opened the chat logs, and slid them across the table. Her eyes flicked down, then up. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again like a faulty engine then. This isn't what it looks like. But for the first time in our entire relationship, I didn't care what she said next. She didn't sit down. She kept standing there in the middle of the cafe, shifting her weight from foot to foot, like a kid caught stealing, but still hoping the adult might let it slide. A fake account, she hissed in a half whisper. Do you have any idea how insane that is? I leaned back in my chair. Not as insane as planning a meetup with someone you called your in-game husband. People were looking at us. She noticed. Her hands curled into fists as she finally sat across from me, lowering her voice. It was roleplay. No, I said calmly. Roleplay is saying LOL and flirting for quests. You sent him pictures. You made actual plans. You told him things about us. She flinched. That was the first honest reaction she'd had. Her eyes moved to the screen where the chat was still open. Her messages, his replies, the inside jokes, the promises, the emoji hearts she had stopped sending me months ago. She swallowed hard. I didn't think it meant anything. You told him you wished you'd met him before me, I said quietly. You said you felt more connected to someone you've never seen in person than the man you live with. She looked like I'd slapped her. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her. I didn't accuse. I just said the truth out loud, and that was somehow worse for her than if I'd yelled. You were supposed to trust me, she whispered. I did, and you knew that. That's why you thought you could get away with this. She looked down at her lap, twisting the strap of her purse. You can't just sabotage our relationship over a game. I let out a breath, more a sigh of disbelief than frustration. Sabotage? Alice, you built a second life behind my back. I just walked into it. She rubbed her forehead, shaking. I just needed an escape. Everything between us felt heavy lately. You were distant. I was distant, I said slowly, because you were somewhere else every night. You didn't want me. You wanted a version of yourself you could be with him. Silence. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback ready. The girl who always won arguments by sheer force of volume suddenly couldn't find a single sentence to defend herself. Finally, she whispered, "Can we fix this?" I looked at her for a long moment. Really looked. Not at the girl I met, or the girl I hoped she would be. Just the person in front of me now, small and trembling and dishonest in ways she didn't even recognize as dishonest anymore. No, I said. We can't. Her head jerked up. You're just ending it. You ended it months ago when you chose someone else for intimacy and used me for stability. That broke her. She covered her mouth with her hand like the truth was physically painful. I stood, grabbed my keys, and stepped around the table. She didn't try to stop me. Not because she respected my choice, because she couldn't form a plan fast enough to manipulate the moment. As I walked past, she whispered, barely audible, "I didn't think you'd leave." I didn't answer. Outside, the air felt sharper than usual. Brighter. Realer. I walked to my car feeling a strange mixture of grief and relief. Heaviness and clarity tangled together. When I started the engine, my hands weren't shaking. It was the calmest I'd felt in months. On the way home, she texted once. "I'm sorry." Then a second message. "Please don't tell the guild." That one told me everything I needed to know. Her panic wasn't about losing me. It was about losing her fantasy. I didn't reply. I went home, opened the closet, and started packing my things with the same quiet certainty I had at the cafe. This time, it wasn't anger guiding me. It wasn't revenge. It was self-respect. And I wasn't going to set it down again. Update that it's been 2 weeks since the meetup, and things have unfolded exactly the way I expected, and also completely differently. I moved out the same day. Not in a dramatic, throwing clothes in a bag kind of way. Just quiet, deliberate removing of my things from someone else's life. I left the keys on the counter, locked the door behind me, and drove to my brother's place. He didn't ask for explanations. He just handed me a beer and said, "Stay as long as you need." That night, she sent a long message, 3 full screens of contradictions. Apologies mixed with accusations, self-pity mixed with denial. "I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have spied on me. It wasn't real, but you made it real by making a fake account. We were fine until you ruined it. You walked away too fast. Doesn't that say something about you?" I didn't respond. The next day, she tried a different angle. "Let's talk in person. We can set some boundaries and rebuild trust. I'll delete my account if it matters that much." But she wasn't offering honesty. She was offering damage control. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened with her guild. Apparently, she told them I invaded her privacy, went crazy, and destroyed her relationship because I couldn't handle her having friends. Classic preemptive story shifting. just like I expected. But people online aren't as gullible as she thinks. One of the guild members, someone I had casually befriended on my fake account, messaged me privately. Hey, I don't know the full story, but she's been spiraling in chat. Her husband left the game. The guild is uncomfortable. Something about a meetup gone wrong. I sent him exactly one screenshot. Not the whole chat log, just the message where she said, "He doesn't need to know the details," winky face. He didn't ask for more. A few hours later, word must have spread. She blocked me on everything. I guess she couldn't handle the truth existing anywhere outside her control. But here's the thing. I didn't tell the guild anything beyond that one screenshot. I didn't trash her. I didn't expose the whole story. I didn't need to. People fill in the gaps on their own. A few days later, her sister texted me. I heard what happened. I'm sorry. She does this. She disappears into fantasy stuff when real life feels too hard. It's not an excuse, just a pattern. It didn't make it better, but it did make it clearer. Meanwhile, I started sleeping better, eating better. Hell, I even started playing the game for myself, on my main account this time, without pretending to be someone else. It wasn't the game's fault. It was how she used it. A funny thing I realized, when the person in your life stops draining you, you suddenly have energy to do anything. Last night, I logged on and saw her character standing idle in the main city. No movement, no messages, no group invites. Just empty. A digital ghost of someone who used to hog all the oxygen in my life. I logged off with no emotion about it. Just a quiet recognition. She lost me because she kept trying to live two lives, and neither one had enough honesty to support a real relationship. I'm not angry. I'm not sad. I'm not grateful for the lesson or any poetic nonsense like that. I'm just moving forward. For the first time in a long time. Final update that it's been about a month now, and life has settled into something that feels normal. Not the numb, relationship autopilot kind of normal I had before. This is different. Clearer. A few days after my last update, she tried contacting me again. Block number, obviously. I picked up only because I thought it might be an emergency. It wasn't. Her voice was soft, small, nothing like the confident, dismissive tone she used when she was juggling two worlds. Can we talk? Just for closure, she said. But closure isn't something someone asks for when they're ready to accept consequences. It's something they ask for when they want to rewrite the end of the story. I told her the truth. There's nothing left to talk about. You made your choices. I made mine. She got quiet and whispered, I didn't think you'd actually leave. That one sentence told me everything I needed to know. She didn't think there would ever be a real cost. Not for flirting. Not for lying. Not for planning a meetup with another guy while I slept 3 rooms away. Not for turning a game into a substitute relationship and treating me like the background NPC. She wanted the attention, the validation, the fantasy, and the stability of having me at home. But life doesn't work like that. Not anymore, at least. I didn't say anything else. I just hung up. And that click, that quiet little sound, felt more like closure than anything she could have offered. How things ended for her. A guildmate later told me, unsolicited, that her in-game husband quit for good. She tried joining another guild, but her reputation followed her. Word spreads. People talk. Screenshots live forever. Last I heard, she deleted her character and made a new one. Running from consequences is easier than facing them, I guess. But that's her story to figure out, not mine. How things turned out for me. I've been focusing on myself, my work, my health, actual friends, not digital strangers pretending to be saviors. I'm still playing the game, but now I log off whenever I want, without wondering what she's doing, who she's whispering, or whether I'm boring compared to some guy with a glowing sword and too much free time. I even met some new people in-game. Not romantically, just good players, good conversations, no drama. Turns out online worlds are fun when they aren't emotional minefields. Last weekend, I took a short trip to the coast. Alone, not lonely. There's a difference. I watched the sunset and realized something. I wasn't hurt because she found someone else in a game. I was hurt because she slowly replaced our reality with a fantasy and expected me to accept it without question. Trust doesn't break in one moment. It erodes in silence. She taught me that. Now I know what I want and what I won't tolerate. No secrets. No double lives. No, it's just a game. Excuses when it clearly isn't. No being the fallback guy while someone else gets her excitement. I'm walking forward, and I'm not looking back. That's the real ending.